This is my new wife, Victoria, my ex-husband announced at the charity gala, his arm around a stunning redhead. I dropped my wine glass. The woman standing next to him was supposed to be dead. I'd been to her funeral 3 years ago. My name is Isabella Moore. I'm 34 years old. I work as a private investigator here in Chicago, specializing in missing persons cases. 6 months ago, I divorced my husband Marcus after discovering his gambling addiction and the web of lies that came with it. During our marriage, Marcus never stopped talking about his perfect woman, his ex-girlfriend Victoria, who died in a car accident before we met. I spent 5 years feeling like I was living in the shadow of a ghost. I wasn't a ghost from his past, but I felt haunted by one. Has your family ever treated you like this? Share your story below and tell me where you're watching from. I read every comment because sometimes we all need to know we're not alone. I'd forced myself to attend this charity fundraiser. 6 months after the divorce, I was finally ready to rebuild my social life. The champagne tasted expensive. The conversation felt light. For the first time in years, I was actually enjoying myself. Then I saw Marcus across the crowded ballroom. He had his arm around a woman with flowing red hair and a black evening dress. She was laughing at something he'd said, touching his chest the way I used to. My stomach twisted, but I told myself this was normal. Ex-husbands move on. It was healthy. A mutual friend approached them, and I heard Marcus say, "I'd like you to meet Victoria Sterling, my new wife." Wife. They'd been married 2 weeks. The woman turned slightly, and my blood turned to ice. Same heart-shaped face. Same delicate scar on her chin from a childhood accident Marcus had described 100 times. Same distinctive crescent-shaped birthmark on her left wrist that Marcus said made her perfect. It was Victoria Reyes. The woman I'd mourned. The woman whose funeral I'd attended. The woman Marcus had cried over for months while I held him and promised everything would be okay. Marcus spotted me staring. He walked over with Victoria clinging to his arm, her smile bright and practiced. "Izzy, what a surprise," Marcus said casually. "This is my wife, Victoria." Victoria extended her hand, the same birthmark clearly visible on her wrist. Marcus told me so much about his ex-wife. You're exactly as he described. Her voice was softer than I'd imagined. Melodic. Everything Marcus had said it would be. I couldn't speak. My brain was screaming that this was impossible. Dead people don't get remarried. Dead people don't wear Chanel dresses to charity galas. Marcus leaned close to my ear. "Don't cause a scene, Izzy. You don't want to look crazy in front of everyone." But I wasn't crazy. I was a private investigator. And I knew a con when I saw one. The next morning, I pulled Victoria's death certificate from the Cook County records. Date of death, March 15, 2022. Cause, vehicular accident on Lakeshore Drive. But something felt wrong. The certificate had been filed 3 days late. The coroner's signature looked rushed. I called Peaceful Rest Funeral Home, where the service had been held. "I'm calling about Victoria Reyes," I told the funeral director. "Service in March 2022. "Oh yes, very sad. Closed casket service. But you know, something strange about that one. No body ever arrived. Family paid in cash and said they'd handle transport privately. No body." My hands were shaking as I hung up. I spent the next week diving deep into social media archives. Victoria Reyes had deleted all her accounts the day before her supposed death. But the internet never forgets. I found cached photos, tagged locations, fragments of a life that continued after she'd supposedly died. An Instagram story from 6 months ago in Miami. A LinkedIn profile under the name Victoria Santos in Phoenix. A Facebook check-in at a Tucson resort last Christmas. Victoria Reyes hadn't died. She'd just moved on to her next victim. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Stop digging or you'll regret it. Victoria is my wife now." How did he know I was investigating? Unless he'd been watching me. I dug deeper. Phoenix, Miami, Tucson. Each city had a man who'd been devastated by Victoria's sudden death. Each man had been left with debts, missing savings, or mysterious insurance claims that vanished along with their grief. I called David Martinez in Phoenix. He picked up on the third ring. "Victoria Santos." His voice broke. "She died in a climbing accident." Broke my heart. "Why are you asking?" "Because she's alive, Mr. Martinez, and she just married my ex-husband." The silence stretched forever. "Then, she took everything. My house, my savings, Even my mother's jewelry that I'd given her. Said she wanted something to remember me by, if anything ever happened. 3 more calls, 3 more victims. Same story every time. Sudden romance, deep love, tragic death, missing money. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Isabella. Victoria's voice was colder now. No more sweet pretense. I hear you've been making phone calls. How did you get this number? I know lots of things about you. I know where you work. I know where you live. I know how to destroy your private investigator's license. She paused, letting that sink in. You lost him once already. Isabella. Don't make me destroy you too. The line went dead. But she'd made a mistake. She'd threatened me, and I'd recorded everything. What they didn't know was that being a PI means I never go anywhere without backup. Every conversation recorded. Every meeting documented. Every instinct followed. They thought they could intimidate me into silence. They forgot I hunt people for a living. My contact at the FBI called that evening. Agent Sarah Chen specialized in identity fraud cases. I'd helped her with missing persons investigations before. Isabella, we need to talk. Can you come in tomorrow? Agent Chen spread photos across her desk. Driver's licenses from 6 different states, all with Victoria's face, all with different names. Her real name is Elena Vasquez. Chen said, she's wanted for multiple identity fraud schemes across the country. But here's what will shock you. Your ex-husband Marcus isn't a victim. He's her partner. The room spun. What? They've been working cons together for 4 years. The gambling addiction, the debts, even your divorce, all part of the plan. They married you to access your professional network and client list. My throat felt raw. The funeral I attended? He staged. They needed you to see her die so you'd never suspect when she came back as someone else. The plan was always for Marcus to remarry her under a new identity. Chen leaned forward. Isabella, they're planning to leave the country. But first, they want to steal the identities of your wealthiest clients. We need your help to stop them. Over the next week, I played broken and defeated. I stopped answering Marcus's threatening texts. I stayed home, appearing to sulk while Agent Chen and I planned the perfect trap. I discovered Elena had been using Victoria's supposed death to collect life insurance payouts worth over $2 million, money that had funded their elaborate cons across multiple states. Elena called me directly. I heard through Marcus you might be ready to talk reasonably. I just want this to end, I said, letting my voice sound exhausted. Maybe we could meet and discuss things like adults. The meeting was set for Romano's, an upscale Italian restaurant downtown. FBI agents were positioned as servers, guests, even the hostess. Agent Chen sat 2 tables away, disguised as a businesswoman having dinner alone. I wore a wire under my dress and carried a backup recording device in my purse. Marcus and Elena arrived together, Elena now calling herself Victoria Sterling on all her documents. They looked relaxed, confident they'd broken me. I've been thinking about what you said, I told them, playing my role perfectly. Maybe we could all work together. I have access to wealthy clients who might be interested in investment opportunities. Elena's eyes lit up. This was what they'd wanted all along. You know, Isabella, you were so easy to manipulate, she said, sipping her wine. Poor little Isabella, mourning someone who was never dead. Did you really think Marcus loved you? You were just a mark, a way to get close to your client list. Marcus laughed. The whole marriage was business, Izzy. You made it so easy. Always trying to fix me, always believing my lies about gambling debts. We've done this in 6 states, Elena continued, getting drunk on her own success. Phoenix, Miami, Dallas, Denver, Portland. Men are so stupid when they think they're in love. They'll give you everything. She leaned closer. Even their wives' jewelry, even their mother's rings. They hand it all over for the woman who understands them. I touched my earpiece, the signal for Agent Chen. FBI agents surrounded our table from every direction. Elena tried to run, but Agent Thompson blocked the exit. Marcus just sat there, mouth open in shock. Elena Vasquez, you're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy, Agent Chen announced. Elena pointed at me desperately. She's lying. I'm Victoria Sterling. She's the one who's been impersonating people. But I had DNA evidence from the wine glass she'd touched. Agent Chen had testimony from all her previous victims, and my wire had captured every confession. The dead don't leave fingerprints, Elena, I said calmly. But you left them everywhere. Agent Chen pulled out Elena's real identification card. We've been monitoring you for 2 years, Elena. Every fake death, every stolen identity, every con you and Marcus pulled. David Martinez from Phoenix walked through the restaurant doors, followed by 3 other victims Elena had destroyed. Their faces said everything about the justice they'd waited years to see. Elena screamed that it was all Marcus's idea, that she was just following orders. Marcus claimed he'd never met her before, but the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, hotel receipts, phone logs, 4 years of partnership in destroying innocent people's lives. Elena got 15 years in federal prison. Marcus got 8. The other victims recovered some of their stolen assets through federal seizure programs. My PI firm gained national recognition for exposing one of the largest identity fraud rings in recent history. But the best part was finally feeling free from Marcus's manipulation and lies. I learned that some ghosts are very much alive, and the truth always surfaces eventually. If you've ever had to stand up to family betrayal, hit subscribe and tell me your story in the comments. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. Has anyone in your life ever pretended to be someone they weren't? Share your experience below. Your story deserves to be heard. Where are you watching from? Let me know below.